What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gershwan,
ready to do another episode of For the Greater
War. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. That is what Ersa Swan did. He asked, "Where's the Geneseed? Can you do a 40 facts video on the Geneseed lore?" Yeah, we could redo that video. So the Geneseed, the one that you hear about that needs to be extracted from a Space Marine after they die, is actually found in the rear of the head. So you probably have seen it in the apothecary art. An apothecary is basically a medic of the Space Marines, and he has this giant machine called the... I can't remember what it's called. It basically has a giant drill.
Yeah.
And what the Space Marine Apothecary does to a fallen battle brother is he lifts him up, jabs that giant drill in the back of his head. It like rips through his body, takes out the Geneseed, and then he just carries the Geneseed with him in that machine thing. And that is then used to synthesize the Geneseed organs that are implanted into the body of the Space Marine.
Right. I think there are, I want to say either 11 or 14, and then if you become a Primarchs, you get an additional 3 added to you.
Yeah.
Like you get a second heart, your bones fuse together, and your muscles become steel.
Basically. Yeah.
For a Primarchs, at least.
Yeah.
When you're a Space Marine, you get a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you can spit acid.
When you eat the meat of sentient creatures, you gain their memories.
You don't have to sleep.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of buffs.
You get the black carapace, which allows your body to integrate to your armor, essentially making a neural connection to your power armor, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's kind of cool when you think about it, because then it's like you're fighting naked. Or at least it must feel like you're fighting naked. Actually, I've never fought naked.
They used to do that in Roman times.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, the army doesn't want to touch you when you're naked.
Yes, that's why.
Yeah.
And then what was his other part? Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about is that Geneseed, because there's been a model going around on Instagram. I don't know who it was, who painted it, but he's basically like running, and then he has it looks like just a box, and the box says Geneseed. And then the meme is that this man's carrying around the cum bucket, like because that's what Geneseed kind of is. It's used to like fertilize Space Marine. And what usually happens is that Geneseed is stored within the apothecarium in the or part of it is in the apothecarium and part of it is in the what's the chaplain's quarters called? I can't remember the name, but it's supposed to be seen as holy. Kind of like if you are Catholic, you know that like the what are the things called that you eat?
No,
yeah. What is it in English?
The bread and body of Christ.
Yeah, that's stored away in a special spot behind like closed doors, and like it's sometimes there's an altar there. It's kind of the same thing, and then even that gets sent over to the Adeptus Mechanicus on Mars or any other Forge world. To study, and they study that. So it's stored in like multiple different places within a battle barge or within a home world, and then the Adeptus Mechanicus has its own little special places where the Geneseed is stored to make sure that nobody's going to chaos.
Right, and also it's not good to have all your sacred Geneseed in one spot, because like what happened to the Space Wolves, Magnus and his forces burned down the gene factories.
Yes.
So that was a huge blow to the Space Wolves, because now they can't replenish their ranks.
Right. Luckily, they had reserves.
They had 2 cum buckets.
Yeah. Next question.
This one is by Drew Cipher. Why do Space Marines have trials when every skill and ability a potential Space Marine possesses will be replaced by training or their new genetic traits? I mean, if you're going to be implanting and changing everybody so much that their genetic percentage is being replaced, why even make them go through this?
EV and IV training your Pokemon is the best way to understand this. Once you in Pokemon, if you ever played the Pokemon game, if you hatch a Pokemon, you're supposed to check what type of stats it was born with, and if it has a certain really good defense, then what you want to do is you want to train that Pokemon in the world of defense. And it's kind of the same thing with humans. So if you have a human, if you have a Neophyte, and the chaplain sees that this person genetically will be superior in this form of fighting, they're going to push that person. If they find another person that, of course, is going to be badass once he becomes a Space Marine, because he's going to be a Space Marine, but he's not going to be as strong as the person next to him, they're going to kill that guy off. Because then they'll rather put more
time and effort and resources and precious Geneseed into that really great guy that's going to be really good at that one thing than in the others.
And that's what you do in Pokemon, right? Like you would hatch things, and if it's not what you
you're
want,
literally hatching like 20,000 eggs to find that one perfect Pokemon.
Yeah, that's basically what the chaplains are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of hatching, they're taking them from their feral planets where they murder their like families and stuff.
You're looking for psychopaths, pretty much.
Yeah.
Stufer 2002. Are there any thoughts at your Games Workshop that bend over to throw the dice in their tight Gymshark leggings?
We rarely go to the Games Workshop place, but I have noticed that when I do go, most of those guys are wearing sweatpants. But they're never tight. They're very loose. So I don't think it would be a problem if somebody dropped dice. They could still bend over and not worry about showing anything.
Yeah. No thoughts, though.
No thoughts. Yeah, no thoughts at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bummer. GW thoughts. What would that look like? Next question comes from Tambletrack. Is Magnus the Red ever feeling down? Does he become Magnus the Blue? Yeah, I've seen. There's a specific because Tzeentch is blue, right? That's his color. Mm-hmm. And there's a specific variant for Magnus the Red where he is blue. I don't think it's because he's sad. I think it's just because Tzeentch is blue and he wants to be blue. So yeah.
Yeah. Daba diba dee da. Something like that.
Yeah. Next one.
This one's by Ko Dojo. What would have changed if the Primarchs were never kidnapped by the Chaos Gods? I still feel like it would have played out the same way. Just you wouldn't have the Emperor flying off to get his sons back. And I don't know, because I feel like the whole nature versus nurture thing, like Angron would have never been angry at his father for having saved him when he was like about to die with his gladiator comrades. So that might be different. I don't know. Mortarion might have never hated himself because he was in that like keep and the wastes and the mutants and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it would be tough. I don't think the Primarchs would even look the same anymore because like Vulcan would not have his black skin. Magnus the Red would not be that psychically powerful. It was all these powers that were caused because of nurture.
Right. But I still feel that the Chaos Gods were still trying to influence them and cause the heresy.
Yep, definitely. But I think the Primarchs would all be kind of unified in the way they look. Like what would change is the way that they battle, not so much them as people. Like, yeah. Maybe.
Who knows? William A. What's a greater threat to the galaxy? Neurons or chaos? I think you meant Necrons. I'd say chaos.
Chaos right now just because of the giant...
warp rift cutting the galaxy in two, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Necrons, because they're not all awoken yet. If they all woke up and they all unified, then that'd be really scary. Especially since they could just get... pump out more and more Necron warriors from the Tomb Worlds and such. But it's the same thing with Chaos, though. You kill a demon, it just goes into the warp, and then it'll manifest back into real space. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm still going with Chaos.
Yeah. Oscar NG says, since Dark Eldar are sadistic torturers, how would you torture a Dark Eldar? Would you do the reverse and treat them with kindness, causing them to go insane because they are basically humiliating their passion? Yeah, humiliating their passion. No, you would torture a Dark Eldar with Slaanesh. Get them closer and closer to Slaanesh, because that thing is just going to devour their very souls, their very essence. You have to remember that Eldar are very connected to the afterlife. They want to live forever, basically. So by kind of dangling them over Slaanesh, I think that's how you would torture them.
Yeah, but you gotta flay them first.
Fillet them. Filet fish. That sounds good. Next question.
This one's by Machine God. Hi Gershon Sound. It be Dane. Hola Dane. Just wondering, do you know if a Successor chapter can break up into another Successor chapter?
They sure can. That is how a Successor chapter is created. Usually, because a chapter has multiple companies, and those companies kind of go off and do their own thing sometimes, and the need to continue a certain type of campaign arises at the same time that another thing arises. So what the Imperium does is they say, okay, so we're going to break them off. They're both going to become separate chapters with their own heraldry. Or one maintains the heraldry of the other one, of the original one, and then the other one kind of does its own thing. So it does happen. Next question comes from DS. He asks, how much you bench? Basically all of the Horus Heresy novels.
That's a lot.
Next question.
This one's by Super Game Guy 300. Who would win in a massive fight between the Orcs from 40K or the Skaven from Age of Sigmar?
I don't know the lore of Age of Sigmar all that well. I know they have their own god, which is pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
But we have Weird Boys, and Warp Heads, which is pretty intense too.
I don't know, I feel like Skaven are like nasty. So maybe their nastiness can spread to the Orcs in some kind of infectious way. But the Orcs wouldn't care. It'll be like that Octavius / Octaviar section of the space where it's just Octarian, where it's just an amalgamation of battle that never ends, but if it does end, whoever comes out on top is going to be like a superpower.
Yeah, like a giant orc rat. That'd
Yuck.
be badass. Yeah, I agree. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. And
Yeah. That's all I got.
Gershwin.
Sound Alchemist. See you next time.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.